The plan was simple: slip into the private library at Balmoral Castle after dinner, retrieve a brass-bound mahogany box stored behind the 19th century royal ledgers, and return it to Queen Elizabeth's former sitting room before the night staff noticed its absence. But as Kate Middleton reached into the recessed velvet compartment, her fingers brushed against an uncatalogued silver key tied to a piece of faded yellow ribbon, and Princess Anne stepped into the doorway, quietly closing the heavy oak door behind her. Before we reveal what this really means for the royal family, hit subscribe on Crown Scope, turn on the bell, and don't go anywhere, because this story is far from over. According to reports, the air in the high-ceilinged room carried the distinct scent of old leather, pine smoke, and Scottish rain. For several agonizing seconds, neither woman moved. Kate stood frozen near the shadow of the carved bookcase, holding the antique brass-bound box that had remained untouched since September 2022. Princess Anne, wearing her customary tartan shawl, stood silently by the hearth, her gaze steady and unreadable. What had brought the Princess Royal into the private library at nearly 11 o'clock at night? And why had Queen Elizabeth II entrusted Princess Anne with a secret gesture meant specifically for Catherine, one that was never meant to be processed through the formal royal archives or official palace communications? To understand the emotional gravity of that late-night encounter in Aberdeenshire, one has to look back at the quiet arrangements made during the final months of Queen Elizabeth II's life in the summer of 2022. Balmoral had always served as the sanctuary of the royal family, a place where ceremonial crowns and formal protocols were set aside in favor of muddy walking boots, outdoor barbecues, and fierce family independence. Sources say that during those quiet August days in 2022, the late Queen spent hours reflecting on the future of the monarchy. She knew that the transition to King Charles III's reign would bring unprecedented institutional pressure, and she recognized that the true weight of sustaining the family's public unity would eventually fall upon William and Catherine. Those close to the Princess Royal reveal that Queen Elizabeth made a personal, unwritten request to her only daughter to act as a permanent, uncompromising guardian for Kate as she stepped into the demanding role of Princess of Wales. But the Queen did not leave just spoken instructions. She left a physical token, a hidden gesture sealed inside the Balmoral estate archives. As the rain lashed against the tall stone windows of the castle, Princess Anne broke the silence, her voice quiet but sharp with authority. "You were looking for the ledger from 1952, Catherine," Anne said, her steps measured as she walked toward the library table. "But that isn't what you found, is it?" Kate looked down at the brass-bound box in her hands, her knuckles pale against the polished mahogany. "I was told this contained the late Queen's personal journal notes on estate management, but this key wasn't listed in the directory." "Because my mother took it off the official inventory herself," Anne replied softly, leaning her hands against the edge of the mahogany table. "She didn't want courtiers analyzing what belongs to the family. She wanted you to have it when the time was right." Kate looked up, her expression filled with quiet uncertainty. "Why now, Anne? Why during this visit?" "Because you've carried more than your share of the storm this past year," Anne said directly, her tone stripped of all formality. "And my mother knew better than anyone what happens when a woman in this family tries to carry the weight alone without an anchor. But that was only the beginning." According to reports, the news of Kate's quiet midnight discovery began to ripple through the private quarters of Balmoral the following morning. Queen Camilla, who had been organizing a private family gathering in the drawing room with Prince Edward and Sophie, noticed the subtle shift in energy between Anne and Catherine over breakfast. Sources say Camilla approached Anne near the terrace overlook, where the mist was rising off the River Dee. "She found it last night, didn't she?" Camilla asked, wrapping her wool cardigan tight against the damp morning chill. Anne kept her eyes on the distant hills. "She found the box, Camilla, and I gave her the key." "Are you sure she's ready for what's inside?" Camilla asked quietly, a trace of deep concern in her voice. "There are memories in that box that belong to a very painful chapter of this house." "She isn't just ready, Camilla. She needs it," Anne asserted firmly. "The public sees Catherine's strength, but they don't see the toll it takes to smile when the world is picking apart your life. My mother knew Catherine would reach a moment where she felt utterly isolated by duty. That box contains proof that she was never alone. What happened next changed everything. Later that afternoon, Zara Tindall and Peter Phillips joined Kate and Princess Anne near the estate stables. The relaxed, informal setting of the Highland countryside allowed long-buried emotions to come to the surface. Eyewitness accounts suggest that Zara pulled Kate aside near the wooden fence line as the horses were being groomed. "Mom told us what happened in the library," Zara said gently, placing a supportive hand on Kate's arm. "You know, Catherine, Granny didn't leave personal tokens like that for just anyone. In 70 years, I can count on one hand the number of times she bypassed palace protocol to hand down something directly." "It feels overwhelming, Zara," Kate admitted, her voice trembling slightly as she looked toward the misty pine woods. "Every decision, every health update, every appearance feels like it's weighed on a massive scale. Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing enough to protect the children while trying to hold up my end of the institution." Peter Phillips stepped forward, his expression solemn and deeply sincere. "You are doing more than enough, Kate. When Granny was sick, she told Mum that you were the bravest person to enter this family since her own mother. She saw your quiet dignity. She saw that you didn't seek the spotlight. You stood steady when the spotlight found you." "The key opens a small brass safe inside the old gunroom office," Zara added softly. "Mum is waiting for you there now. You need to see what's inside." And this is where the story becomes more complicated. Sources say that when Kate unlocked the hidden wall safe in the estate office later that day, she did not find gold, jewels, or formal royal decrees. Inside lay a hand-bound leather journal belonging to Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, dating back to September 1936, the exact period during the abdication crisis when the young Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon was forced to step into the terrifying public light as Queen Consort. Tucked inside the front cover of the journal was a handwritten letter from Queen Elizabeth II, penned in her distinct, elegant script just 3 weeks before her passing at Balmoral. According to reports, Princess Anne stood beside Kate as she unfolded the letter. "Read it aloud, Catherine," Anne urged gently. "Let the words speak to you." Kate's voice shook as she read the opening lines. "To Catherine, Princess of Wales, the crown you will one day bear was not forged in moments of public glory, but in the quiet hours when you choose grace over anger and family over ambition. You were chosen not because you are perfect, but because you possess a steady heart." The letter continued, revealing a forgotten piece of history. During the darkest hours of the 1990s, when the royal family faced intense public scrutiny and internal heartbreak, Queen Elizabeth II had secretly established a private fund and a sanctuary trust reserved exclusively for future princesses of Wales, ensuring they would always have complete financial and personal independence outside of government oversight. As Kate reached the final page of the letter, tears spilled down her cheeks. The peak gut punch line delivered by the late monarch hit with devastating clarity. "Never let them convince you that you are merely carrying a title, Catherine. You are holding together the human heart of this monarchy." For several minutes, the estate office was filled with absolute silence, broken only by the sound of wind rustling through the Scots pines outside the window. Kate held the letter against her chest, visibly overwhelmed by the realization that Queen Elizabeth II had spent her final days preparing a shield of protection for her. Princess Anne stepped closer, her sharp demeanor softening into a rare, deeply affectionate smile. "My mother knew the world would try to break you, Catherine," Anne said, her voice filled with profound warmth and quiet resolve. "She left this for you so that whenever you feel tired, whenever the criticism feels too loud, you remember that the greatest queen this country ever knew believed in you completely." "I never got to say a proper goodbye to her," Kate whispered, wiping away a tear. "Everything happened so fast that September." "You don't need to say goodbye," Anne replied gently, patting Kate's shoulder with firm reassurance. "Every time you step out onto a balcony, every time you comfort a sick child, every time you protect William and your children from the noise of the world, you are answering her letter." But there was one detail almost everyone missed. At the bottom of the wall safe lay a second, smaller envelope, addressed in Princess Anne's own handwriting. It contained a private pledge signed by Princess Anne, Prince Edward, and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh. The document was an internal family covenant, drafted quietly in late 2024, in which the senior members of the royal family officially pledged to absorb public duties and shield Kate and her children from unnecessary pressure during her ongoing health recovery, ensuring she would never be forced back into the public eye before she was fully ready. When William joined Catherine in the library later that evening, holding her hand as they read through the covenant together, the emotional relief was palpable. Sources say William looked at his aunt with deep, unspoken gratitude. "You didn't have to do this, Anne," William said, his voice thick with emotion. "You've already given your entire life to this service." "I did it for my brother, I did it for my mother, and I did it for the two of you," Anne answered firmly, looking between William and Kate. "A family that doesn't protect its own isn't worth the crown it wears." The private words spoken in Scotland between Princess Anne and Kate Middleton reveal a truth far deeper than public headlines or palace press statements could ever convey. They reveal that behind the grand rituals, the ancient stone walls, and the rigid traditions of the British monarchy lies a fierce, protective instinct that binds these individuals together as human beings. Queen Elizabeth II's final gesture was not an order of state or a public exhibition. It was a motherly mantle passed down through generations, a quiet promise that duty does not require the sacrifice of one's humanity. As the dusk settled over Balmoral Castle, casting long shadows across the green hills of Aberdeenshire, Kate placed the late Queen's letter carefully back inside the mahogany box, keeping the silver key close to her heart. The strength of a monarchy is not measured by the height of its thrones, but by the quiet promises kept in the dark when no one else is watching. A crown is carried on the head for the world to see, but its true weight is borne quietly in the hearts of those who love each other.